Across the Middle East right now, tensions are rising in a way that's beginning to ripple far beyond the region. The ongoing confrontation involving Iran, the United States, and Israel isn't just a regional conflict anymore. It's starting to affect global energy markets, international diplomacy, and the stability of one of the world's most critical shipping routes, the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices have already shown sharp volatility. Governments are discussing emergency responses, and analysts are warning that even small disruptions in this part of the world can send shockwaves through the global economy. For millions of people, that could mean rising costs, uncertain markets, and a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape. So, what exactly is happening behind the headlines? And why are policymakers and economists around the world watching this situation so closely? Before we go deeper, I'd like to hear your perspective. Do you think this crisis will calm down through diplomacy, or could it grow into a much larger global challenge? Share your thoughts in the comments. Right now, a conflict unfolding in the Middle East is beginning to send signals across the entire global system, from diplomacy and security to the energy markets that power everyday life. What initially appeared to be a regional confrontation involving Iran, the United States, and Israel is now being watched as something with potentially far wider consequences. As the situation enters another critical phase, governments, analysts, and economic leaders around the world are trying to answer one key question: how far could this situation spread, and what might it mean for global economic stability? The concern isn't only about military developments, it's also about the complex network of systems that connect this region to the rest of the world. Energy supply chains, international shipping routes, diplomatic alliances, and financial markets are all closely tied to events in this part of the world. And when tensions rise here, those connections can quickly create ripple effects far beyond the immediate conflict zone. One of the first places where those ripple effects are already visible is the global energy market. Oil prices have shown sharp volatility as traders and governments respond to uncertainty surrounding production and transportation in the region. The Middle East remains one of the most important energy hubs on the planet, and even small disruptions can influence global supply expectations. When energy markets become unstable, the impact doesn't stay confined to financial trading floors. Eventually, it reaches ordinary households through fuel prices, transportation costs, and broader inflation. A major reason for this concern lies in the strategic geography of the region, particularly the narrow maritime corridor known as the Strait of Hormuz. This waterway sits between the Persian Gulf and the open ocean, and it serves as one of the world's most important transit points for oil shipments. A significant portion of globally traded crude passes through this route every single day. Because of that, any disruption in the area immediately captures the attention of energy producers, shipping companies, and governments around the world. When tensions increase near the Strait of Hormuz, shipping insurers begin reassessing risk. Cargo companies review their routes, and markets respond to the possibility of supply interruptions. Even the perception of instability can influence global prices. That's why policymakers in many countries are watching developments so closely, not just from a security perspective, but from an economic one as well. In response to the growing uncertainty, some of the world's major economies are already discussing contingency plans. Members of the G7, a group of leading industrialized nations, have explored options such as releasing strategic petroleum reserves or coordinating energy policies to stabilize markets if necessary. These reserves exist specifically for moments when supply disruptions threaten global economic stability. While such measures are rarely used, their presence reflects how seriously governments take the possibility of energy shocks. At the same time, national leaders are trying to communicate with both domestic audiences and international partners about the evolving situation. Statements from political figures, including comments attributed to Donald Trump, have at times reflected a mix of confidence and caution regarding the direction of the conflict. Some remarks suggest that certain objectives may already have been achieved, while others indicate that further actions could still be considered depending on how events unfold. For observers and analysts, these mixed signals highlight just how fluid the situation remains. During moments of geopolitical tension, governments often adjust their messaging as new intelligence, diplomatic developments, or military assessments emerge. That's one reason why global markets and international institutions tend to react quickly, even to subtle shifts in tone coming from political leadership. Meanwhile, defense officials within the United States Department of Defense have emphasized that complex operations rarely unfold according to a single predictable timeline. Military planners typically prepare for multiple scenarios, some involving short-term objectives and others focused on longer strategic considerations. Because of that, the duration and scale of any conflict can remain uncertain, even for those closely involved in planning and decision-making. Beyond the military and economic dimensions, there is also a human reality that accompanies any conflict. Reports from the region have raised concerns about the safety of civilians and the protection of public infrastructure. International observers and humanitarian organizations often stress that safeguarding civilian populations must remain a priority in any conflict environment. Maintaining humanitarian corridors, protecting medical facilities, and ensuring access to aid can become critical challenges during periods of heightened tension. When incidents occur that affect civilian areas, they typically prompt investigations and discussions about accountability under international law. In situations involving advanced military systems, determining the exact sequence of events can require detailed technical analysis. Governments and defense authorities sometimes launch formal reviews to assess what happened and whether operational procedures were followed correctly. These processes can take time, and they often involve both military experts and independent investigators examining available evidence. For many viewers around the world, stories like these highlight an important reality. Geopolitical conflicts are rarely isolated events. They unfold across several interconnected layers: security, economics, diplomacy, and humanitarian concerns, all interacting at the same time. What happens in one domain can quickly influence the others. And perhaps one of the most important lessons from previous international crises is that global responses often evolve as situations develop. Diplomatic channels may open, even while tensions remain high. Economic measures might be introduced to manage market reactions. Alliances can shift, and negotiations sometimes take place quietly behind the scenes, while public statements focus on strategic messaging. For now, the world remains in a period of careful observation. Governments are monitoring shipping routes, energy markets are responding to signals from the region, and international institutions are assessing the broader implications for economic and political stability. Each new development adds another piece to a complex and rapidly changing picture. And this is where the conversation becomes especially important. When you look at the tensions surrounding the region and the global reactions we're seeing, do you think diplomacy will eventually calm the situation, or could the economic and strategic pressures push events in a different direction? Share your perspective in the comments, because as developments continue to unfold, one thing is clear. The decisions made in the coming weeks could influence not only regional stability, but also the broader balance of energy, economics, and international relations for years to come. And once you look closely at the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz and the political signals coming from Washington and beyond, you begin to understand why many experts believe this moment could shape global energy and security for years ahead.